Well, hello and welcome to Bartending in the Sticks, episode 4. I'm Gina DeLeo Staney.
And I'm Mike Rothmeyer. And today we're going to be talking about the Negroni. We have, and variations of it. The Negroni week is coming up, September 16th to the 22nd. And we were talking about what kind of drink should we do for the next podcast, which has been much delayed. My apologies if you guys have been waiting. I started a new job, things got in the way, and just didn't have the time.
Excuses.
Yeah, I know. They're not good excuses, but what was I going to do? Anyway, Paul Clark is the man who started the Negroni Week officially anyway, and great dude who founded Imbibe Magazine also. I've had the pleasure of sitting at the same bar as him. I don't know him, but and he doesn't probably remember me, but I've been sitting at the same bar with him a few times, inspiration, great stuff. And I know some bars are a bit abuzz about Negroni Week, and so we thought we'd share some Negroni and Negroni variations, and maybe a little bit of history, but mostly just enjoying chatting about a great drink that has been around for quite a while.
It has been around for quite a while, and actually when we were talking about what drink we want to do, we also talked about wanting to keep this, at least for now, to the old time, classic cocktails that kind of helped grow cocktails as we know it today. And the Negroni is definitely one of those, and when you look back and see when it was actually made, it was in between 1918 and 1922. It's an Italian drink made from the Americano. It's kind of a play on the Americano, which is just equal parts Italian vermouth and Campari with soda water, and he wanted it a little bit more stiff. And he
is Count Negroni. And backing up just a little bit, for some reason, there were an influx or a lot of American tourists coming to Italy, and the bartenders at the time came up with this thing called the Americano to sort of like say, well, here's the thing that these Americans will drink because they certainly aren't enjoying our Amari. Like it was just a bit too much for them maybe. Or there was, they were just trying to come up with something that was good for the tourists, and the Americano kind of came that way. And then Count Negroni liked a dash of gin in his to kind of, bump it up.
A little bit more alcohol for the guy. He needed a little bit more. A little more to it.
Stumbled onto a great drink, though. I mean, it's
absolutely,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with an Americano either. I'll get into that for sure.
Oh, they're good. They're good. Yeah. They're lovely. And Count Negroni was a Florentine aristocrat. Mm-hmm. I always want to say aristocrat when I say that word.
Cartoons are great.
I just always do it every single time. It drives me crazy.
Parents.
Yeah, just watch that movie plenty of times as I was a kid, and then a few more times when my kids were kids. And
that's true.
Anyway, yes, an aristocrat, not an aristocat, but yes, that went to America. And he was a cowboy, and a gambler, and what was the other thing that was so crazy?
It was funny.
Yeah. It was funny, and I'm going to totally ruin it now because I don't remember what else. But yeah, it just was a really interesting. He did some interesting things with his life. But anyway, he was drinking in Italy, had those, and decided he wanted some gin, and that is where the name Negroni came from, because the bar and the bartender that he frequented, needed to name it, and that's what it came up with. That's the name, a Negroni. So now you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna. I'll make a Negroni. Do you want a Negroni or do you want a variation? What's your preference?
I hadn't even thought about it.
For the drink that you're actually going to imbibe. It's not like we can't share a drink, but I think I should make 2 drinks.
Yeah, you can make 2 drinks. I'll have a Boulevardier.
Boulevardier. All right. as I'm making these, we can chat about ratios. Maybe the original ratio of the Negroni, that once it became its own thing anyway, is 1 part gin, 1 part Campari, and 1 part sweet vermouth. And what did they say? Actually, did they call it dark vermouth?
Yeah, because there now is, there's sweet vermouths that are
Right.
white. So
And that-
they just say red.
Right, and this is an Italian vermouth which is very dark too. Which I know we've used it on other spots too, and it's one of my favorites. And I think it's pronounced Cinemata, but I'm not positive. But I can't get enough of it.
So yeah, it was equal parts that, I'm sorry
That's okay. Go ahead.
to interrupt, but also then topped with soda.
That's right, and that was news to me. I had never heard that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you really think about how the Americano was made, it makes sense because, I mean, all he wanted was a little gin added to it, and if Americano is vermouth, Campari, and soda, then yes.
Oh yeah, because
just be-
Campari and soda maybe is one of the things that maybe the Americans weren't, their palate wasn't ready for
was
just
too bitter.
too much Campari. Maybe that could be it. Yeah. Maybe.
All speculation, but
speculation.
Good ones.
We're using Outfitters Gin. This is kind of new to our market, local gin, and I will say that this one, the flavor profile is kind of not too juniper forward. So if you did want to make a kind of a kicked up more than 1-to-1, this would probably be the type of gin you would do that with. Like if you wanted more gin than just equal parts, then this would be the type of flavor profile that you'd want to do that, because it's a kind of like a lighter gin.
Which is an interesting point because I've all during my whole bartending days, that's how I always made Negronis. I always made it 2-1-1.
2-1-1. That's probably me and Tim's influence there.
Well, because you guys were the ones who taught me how to do it. I never
and
was
mine.
like, looking to make sure that was correct. I just made it that way because I thought that's how it was made. Until one day when I was bartending, and these people that came in and had Negronis, often when they came to the bar, they said, "God, your Negronis are so delicious. What do you do different?" And I was like, I don't know. And I just told them how I made it, 2-1-1. And they were like, "Oh, we make them at home." And we looked them up, and it's supposed to be 1-1-1 and everything that and I was like, really? So that was a really, that was an interesting day. I was like, wow, I just didn't realize that. And yeah, so I was incorrect, but they really liked the Negroni that way. It just kind of, stiffened it up a little bit too.
All right. Whoops, that's the Negroni. You're going to have a Boulevardier. That's right. All right, well, that one we're going to go 2-1-1. 2 ounces of bourbon. And here's another one. You might start to, if you know me anyway, it might start to seem like, aren't these products you're selling right now with your new job? And the answer is yes.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
Hey,
you can throw yourself under the bus.
I might, I think I should.
I
Just
think
the way
you
it is.
should too.
So this is barrel bourbon, and it's one of those. I always forget the acronym. Oh, this is going to be bad podcasting because I can't think of the name of it. But it's basically like there's a distillery that will curate your mash bill and everything that you want going into it, and help you to perfect it at their facility. Is it GMP, something like that? And maybe we talked about it before too. I don't even know. Anyway, it's still kind of a mystery to me. So we'll save that for another podcast. But basically, these are bourbons that are kind of like High West does the same thing. Doc Swenson does the same thing. Like say Bullet started out that way too. Bullet bourbon. It's the kind of thing where you go to this facility, and when you want to get started and you want to start, coming up with, using their whiskey to work out what you want your whiskey to be, and then you're sort of like jumping ahead so you can start right out the gate selling. And anyway, this is that type of thing, and I find it Delicious. This is the see, I have to get my glasses out though, which one this is. Oh, this is batch 35. And
Oh, batch 35?
I know.
Oh my gosh. So I'm just going to put in here that I'm really glad that you're, pushing your stuff here, but can we talk a little bit about what the Boulevardier is?
Absolutely.
And why? Why are you using 2 ounces or going 2 on 1?
Well, I don't know a really good answer other than it tastes better. Like the bourbon stands up to the Campari in different ways, and also, yeah, it's an aged spirit. It just balances out there really well, and it's the sort of like starting point for camping juice for me too. We call it camping juice, where I just put a big cocktail into a liter flask, and then drink that for a whole camping trip. And it's really good for you. Camping juice. But I add a little bitters. And then you can mess around with it a little bit. You can use Cappelletti instead of Campari. Cappelletti's a wine-based sort of, red bitter like this that is much less expensive and tastes great. But we don't, here in Washington State, our liquor taxes are insane. So if you're drinking a wine-based mixer, it's much less expensive. I should put the ice in first, huh? I might splash. What if I splash?
I think we're okay.
The splash police are going to come?
So with this drink, you would not use soda on the top. And we're obviously not doing it here with the Negroni either, but that is the classic way it was made.
Can you tell this isn't scripted?
I think maybe with the other episodes, they might have been able to tell as well. Don't think that we're hiding anything.
We're not...
You know what? Do you mind if I try this?
Would you please?
Well, because like I just told the story about how I've always done it 2-1-1, and I don't think I've ever
had a one. Okay.
Yeah, so
cool.
All right. Well, cheers.
Well, cheers. I'll try yours. You try mine. I didn't stir this one, but I kind of like that. I think we were just listening to a podcast, Eric Castro's podcast, which I'm fine to plug. I'm also plugging the Parts Counter Gurus. Thanks, guys, for trying to help. I'm a horrible listener, though. So I don't listen well, is what I mean. What was I getting at? Eric Castro was saying he kind of likes his just barely stirred, or not his Boulevardier anyway, not stirred too much to start with, because he likes the kind of boozy hit you get right off the bat there.
Gotcha.
And these are drinks too that, often the default when you go to a bar, especially around here, bartending in the sticks, a lot of people either, number one, I'd say the worst thing or the biggest mistake that bartenders make is not even knowing what a Negroni is. For one, that's the worst mistake. Whoa, I'm so
that
close
doesn't
now.
happen too much anymore, but yes,
yeah.
it can.
And just like we've said in past episodes, if you read the room right, if you look around, you'll probably be able to do it. But if I see a Campari bottle back there, I might feel okay asking for one. And then it's just, I've had it happen where just somebody's not been trained and they're not really ready to make a Negroni because they don't know what it is. I just realized I have those on.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you.
I'm not allowed to wear my glasses on podcasts, everybody. Dude, yeah.
He could see really well while he was making the beverage, though, so that's good. That's
okay.
good. That's good.
What I was saying is that, not knowing, that's a big mistake. And then the other one is just by default making it up and also shaking it. So now we're at 3 big mistakes that actually happen quite often. And it's just the same kind of thing. This drink was made to be built on the rocks, and if you do want to have it up, because that's the way you like it, it at least should be stirred. And I enjoy those. I will say I enjoy an up Negroni or up Boulevardier, but I definitely like. I'd rather be asked, so I'll often just say, "Can I just have that on the rocks?" You know, and oftentimes they're just taken aback by that, like, "Oh,
Yeah, I have noticed that a lot of them are served up. Actually, almost every single Negroni I've ever made as a bartender here in the sticks, I've made up. And same with the Boulevardier, I feel like. Of course, when we got, the big rocks, things changed a little bit, but yeah, it was definitely
I think
just
we need more rocks."
a stir and served up for sure. Oh, thank you.
Or we have medium-sized rocks. I didn't prep any big ones. Yeah, so these are, again, the Boulevardier is one variation. There's lots more. We were talking about a white Negroni with something like Suze, or you could look up a white Negroni because nothing's coming to my head. I never had much success, running a white Negroni around here anyway.
I never have. I never have. But I've definitely used, these a Negroni or, a Manhattan or anything like that to come up with my own cocktail. It's definitely, kind of the basics of what you can put together and what can taste good, and so you kind of work with the classics, right? To kind of come up with your own cocktail. But yeah, as far as a white Negroni, yeah, it's a white Negroni. If you're not putting it together, what that is, it's basically it's just made with different vermouth, correct?
Different vermouth, and instead of Campari, it's going to be a Gentian.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot.
Gentian liqueur.
Yeah.
And Suze is the only one I have, but there are others. And my other favorite one.
I've not ever had one.
Yeah,
I've never had one, a white Negroni.
we'll have to try. I don't know if I don't have any. I don't have any dry vermouth in the house right now. Again, unscripted, folks. Unscripted.
Disappointment.
I know.
No, well, we didn't talk about making any white Negronis, so
That's
that
true.
was just something that we didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just we're just talking about it.
Grabbing
Maybe one
bottles,
day we will.
setting them down.
And I do have to, really quickly before I forget, because it's on my mind, I have to do a shout out to Ron Wall, who, when I was in my very first production, My Fair Lady in 2019, and we were doing our cast party, he knew I was a bartender. And he was like, I just love Negronis. That's his favorite drink.
Oh,
I love
cool.
Negronis. I love Negronis. So I was like, okay, well, nobody else said anything to me about what they wanted me to bring. And I knew it was a harsh cocktail for the majority of people. It's very, it's all alcohol. It's very alcohol forward. It's very strong. If you don't know, So anyway, I went out on a limb and I brought a batched Negroni to our party.
Oh, cool.
And people were like so excited that I brought a cocktail. But I had to warn everybody, okay, it's a Negroni, and nobody knew what it was, except for Ron, who came in giddy as a schoolboy. He was like, yay! He was really excited about it. But I had to be like, okay, it's very strong, it's kind of bitter, it's got some sweetness, but it's, and I pour them a little bit, and they were like, oh my gosh! So, yeah, it was...
Do you think that's because, yeah, why is that? Do you think it's just because of whatever they're used to drinking?
Yeah, I think most of them were used to drinking more fruity, a more fruity drink that's, a little less alcohol forward, really. But
Sure.
I think also the bitterness. I think a lot of people don't. Yeah,
Sure.
it's an acquired taste. I mean, coffee's an acquired taste. Beer is an acquired taste. I don't.
Yeah.
Not many people like it. From the get-go, or
Right.
they're starting with something really light. If you're first starting to drink coffee, you're like, can I get a single shot 22-ounce mocha, extra chocolate, please? I mean, not everybody, but I know when I first started drinking alcohol, I was like, Boone Strawberry Hill, please. It's a lot. That takes a lot for me to say.
I was a Bartles and James guy in my early teens.
Yeah, I didn't have quite the palate at that point, but it's a starting point, and I think that and I worked for a coffee place. I worked for Fidalgo Bay Roasting Company, and they made us. I was 18, 19 years old, and they made us try French press coffee without anything in it, and they set it all up. And that's when I really learned how to enjoy coffee without anything in it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is actually, and just to be able to taste the difference in the coffee,
Yeah.
which was amazing to me too. I just, at that age, like, wow,
Yeah.
it really makes a difference if it's a French press or not, or where it comes from, or, all those things. But it's just amazing. Yeah. A bitter taste, I think, for sure is an acquired taste, unless you've grown up with it, or unless
Yeah, maybe
it's
in
something
Italy
that-
it'd be a different story.
right,
huh?
right, right.
When you're
Drinking wine out of the womb. Yeah.
drinking wine, yeah. When you turn 9, you get to have wine with dinner or whatever. 9 with wine is fine, I think is what they say.
Damn, I was born in the wrong place.
I know, yeah. Maybe. Well, I was always allowed wine for like the big family gatherings. So like,
Did you like
at
it?
a very young age? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What were you drinking? Do you know?
Probably either
Chablis.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was either probably Chablis or a Merlot.
I haven't
I'm
even
guessing.
seen Chablis.
Yeah.
And it was such an 80s, like,
Oh, man,
just,
big time.
it was such
Big time. Liter bottles of either Merlot or Chablis was kind of what we had around the
and
Thanksgiving
Chablis is a
table.
little sweet. It's on the sweeter side.
Yeah, I guess so. But we're allowed one glass, and usually that would totally like hit a 9 or 10-year-old real well. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It was good times. And but man, those were great. It was a cool thing to be around.
It was
all
special,
my
yeah.
cousins, and
Absolutely.
it was good.
I think
part
that-
of the toast.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of stigma and a lot of it goes around alcohol that I don't think necessarily needs to be there. I think when I think of European countries and how open they are with it and stuff. I mean, we could debate about this, right? Where there's less problems with alcohol there because it's not so coveted by youth.
Right.
It's something that they're allowed to have. It's something that it's not so. Yeah, I don't know. It's
As Americans, it seems like we're always turning everything to 11 anyway. Like, well, I don't know why we have to do that. Like, even though that's a British reference to Spinal Tap, as far as the what do you call it? The characters were British anyway.
well, yeah.
Or at least Nigel was the guitar player who turned his thing to 11. We are way off topic.
You are way off topic.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Well, I mean, we were just talking about alcohol and having alcohol and that sort of thing. I remember my my aunt who had come over to visit let me drink whiskey, and that was when I first started really liking whiskey. And I think
What
I was
kind of whiskey, Gina?
17. Oh, do we really have to go there?
I mean, do you remember? I'm just asking.
I
if
mean,
you
it
know
was
what
like 7 and 7 or something like that.
so, yeah,
it was
okay.
Seagram's, I think, or it might have been Pretend.
No,
7
that
and
would be a
7.
typical thing in those years
But it
for
was
people
delicious.
to have around the house. Sure.
I was like, wow, whiskey is really good, and I've been kind of drinking it ever since.
so that's an
Whiskey is a
American
good
blended
thing.
whiskey. Just so you
Yes.
know.
Thank you.
Even though it's, I wonder how that works. It's owned, Seagram's is Canadian, right? I thought it was Canadian owned.
I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like a lot of whiskeys, especially from that time period, or like when my parents were, in their prime, I guess, in their 30s or whatever, and what I grew up seeing, I saw a lot of Crown, I saw a lot of,
Canadian Club.
well, yes, and Black Velvet,
Black Velvet, yeah. That was a lot of my, both
and that
my
was
parents
all
too.
Canadian,
That's right.
all Canadian whiskey.
There's a good series. You ever watch Boardwalk Empire? Steve Buscemi.
No,
Good one.
I
Still
love
holds
Steve
up.
Buscemi.
Yeah, it's great. It's like during Prohibition and running across the border of Canada into the U.S. mostly.
Okay.
And one of the things that even is in the opening credits is like it's bottles of Canadian Club, washing up on the shore that had gotten, whatever, they'd fallen off the ship or who knows. And it ends up being a really historical fact that Canadian whiskey was huge during Prohibition. A lot of people developed a taste for that and then passed that down, to the kids too. So because that's what was all in the house, and so that's what the kids snuck, and now that's what they like, because that's definitely what my parents, being born in the mid '40s, well past the repeal in '33, and yeah, that was their palate was 100% Canadian whiskey.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
soft, it's good. And Sean Sewell, we're not going to talk nasty about Canadian whiskey. We're fine with Canadian whiskey. It's good.
It just was it was saturated with it. Like that was what, yeah. And it's fine. I think about my parents, and I think about how sad I am for them that they had to endure the dark days of bartending.
There's that. Yeah.
Because those were some dark days,
were.
I mean, I
They
don't.
were.
They didn't know any better, right? I mean,
Sure.
nobody knew. But once things kind of turned around and the craft cocktailing revolution showed up, it was just so much more flavor and so much more.
Oh man.
I mean, it's just.
Adventure. It's
I
a
don't know.
experience. All those buzzwords, but yeah, you're right. I agree. And my dad is still around. My mom is not. But
Same.
I would like I have over the many years tasted my dad on things, and some of it he likes, some of it he doesn't, and he just tends to go back to that brown water is what he calls it. So that's which is it's usually Canadian mist with a splash of water on the rocks, and he just calls it brown water.
What a splash of water.
Because you got to take it easy, You can't be just drinking
Well, that
straight whiskey. the
splash of
whole
water
time.
is just doing a
It's
ton.
definitely, it
doing a
is.
ton.
Opens it up.
Yes.
Hey, cheers to my dad. Love you. Hopefully you'll see this.
I learned that at the Scotch tasting about the water, but I don't know if I would agree with that. But you could.
It certainly lightens it up. It's
Oh, it lightens it up for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Sorry,
That's okay.
I'm totally being judgy right now. It's not what I like. It's not what I prefer. Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. What else do we need to cover?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about the Negroni, talked about where it's from, the time period. We talked about some of the variations. Yeah.
I was just thinking of something that isn't on our list, but one of the reasons why I love all like the Negroni and any variation of it is because I consider it unscrew-upable. That's kind of the thing I would say, because for the most part, the bartender, if you tell them, and if they don't know what it is, and you tell them it's equal parts, gin, Campari, vermouth. If you have those three things, and you do it equal parts, everything's going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. But I think the thing that a lot of people get messed up about is they think vermouth is bad. So then I'm always like, don't be shy about the vermouth. I'm like, hey, especially somewhere like, again, I can go ahead and say places and names. Say somewhere like Secret Cove. I always have to go, hey, don't be shy with the vermouth, because a lot of times they just go geek with the vermouth.
Well, because most of the drinkers there are drinking martinis, and they want just a.
Vodka martinis shaken with three or four olives. Yes.
They want you to just pretend like you're putting vermouth in it. They don't actually even want any in there. But
Right.
yeah, or wash the glass or whatever. But yes, just whisper. Blow over the bottle.
Pour a little in your hand and throw it over your shoulder.
Exactly. That's enough. That's enough.
Plenty. So yeah, again, getting people on that, getting bartenders to understand that out in the sticks here is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, and again, things are progressing, and there are places that totally know what the heck is going on. I really miss Marabella.
Marabella.
Yeah, Andy's place.
Yeah.
He had a bartender there. I'm forgetting his name, but definitely
Oh yeah, he was
Italian
great.
place.
Oh, what
that
was his name?
was it Alex or Adam or something? Anyway, sorry if we forgot your name and you're watching this. Anyway, great bartender, and also being an Italian restaurant with like just great food and super into Negronis. The other place I was at, and oh man, I kicked myself for not remembering the name of this restaurant. It's the only Michelin star restaurant I've ever been to, and they were super into Negronis there. And it was in Scotland, yeah, on the Spey River, and I can't even remember the name of the town. Again, it's so dumb. I don't keep journals, and I just don't do anything like that. And so it was 2 years ago.
Perhaps you should start.
I should. I really should, especially if I'm going to talk about it on a podcast.
Right? Yeah. I mean, even just jot it down on your, I was going to say your checkbook.
Oh yeah.
Because, everyone has a checkbook.
And all I'm
that they
thinking,
take around.
right? Yeah. All I'm thinking there is like I can find it on a map. I'm taking pictures. Like, it's not the same. Anyway, what a great experience that was. And I'm about to go back to Scotland in October, so I'm looking forward to that. And I will take notes. Totally taking notes.
Yes. Are you going to go probably not to the same area?
Not exactly. No, we're staying a little bit further south. Except we are going back to Isla. I'm taking a distilling class there. And that's another thing. I should know what it's called, and I don't even know what it's called. I know. I'm really busy, though.
But he
Super
knows
busy.
what the name of his products are.
Well, apparently. I know. As soon as my boss and anybody else watches this at the company, they're going to be like, why didn't you say more about that? Why didn't you? I'm going to be like, because stage fright? Maybe stage fright. Anyway, that's pretty much what we got about the Negroni. Enjoy one for sure.
We can talk a little bit about what it tastes like, I guess, for somebody who's never had. I was very surprised how many people talked to me about the Manhattan when we did our episode on the Manhattan, and how much people were like, I've never had a Manhattan. People would come up to me and say, oh, I watched your show, and I've never even had one. I really wanted to enjoy one. I was like, oh my gosh, really? It blows my mind, because it's such a classic that I would think that everybody, but if you don't really like, I don't know, it can be unapproachable for people who've not had it or don't know about it or whatever. So we have talked a little bit about it being bitter. It's a little bit sweet. And then of course with the gin, it's definitely got some botanicals and some herbs and that sort of thing, but it's strong. It's strong. I mean, would you say anything else about it?
I've just traveled so far down the sort of like, my palate has traveled so far down the bitter highway, whatever it is, somewhere. I don't know where the metaphor is. Is that a simile? I don't even know. Anyway, I have a hard time like describing it to somebody like you're talking about, and also I've been not behind the bar for a while, and that was definitely a skill I had.
As long as me, I've been not behind the bar since 2020.
Well, yeah, I mean for full-on shifts, it's been before that for me. So
anyway, sorry.
that's okay. So yeah, if I'm trying to describe a Negroni to somebody, again, I'm a little bit at a loss because I think you just nailed it. Basically, the way you described it, I think you're spot on.
Take a sip.
Okay. I get the garnish in the nose first. I get the oils from the orange, which is pleasant and definitely complimentary. And I can definitely pick it apart like you just did too, in the sense that I can taste the gin, I can taste the vermouth, and I can taste the Campari. All of those things doing what they do. And I guess a lot of what's going on, and maybe this is the whole story about how it went from the Americano, or well, maybe from a Campari and soda to an Americano to a Negroni, is that the other two spirits are taming the Campari. I mean, the bug juice. That's what they used to call it. Do you know that?
I do know that, actually.
Used to be colored by a beetle. I think it was an Indian beetle. And they would just crush the beetles up into a powder and they would just add it to it. They have stopped that apparently. So
Why?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I think the vegans got upset. And,
Oh, gosh.
you know, they're like, no more bugs.
Ugh.
Meanwhile, I'm going to get all political. Meanwhile, they want us to eat bugs now all the time. That's supposed to become a thing. It's supposed to be a real healthy thing for us to do to
What?
sustain life is to eat bugs. Yeah. Look it up.
I'm just going to keep drinking.
It's a real thing.
That's something I'm going to choose to not look up.
Okay.
I'm good not eating bugs.
Oh, I'm gonna pepper your Instagram with it then.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I don't even know how to pepper anybody's Instagram.
Right. I send you everything and you're like, hey. There's like no response. I'm like, okay, come on, Mike.
Well, it's because I don't see it for a week or more.
Well, so you could still react.
True. Too busy camping.
Obviously, whatever I'm sending you is not cool enough for you.
Well, that's not it. That's not it at all.
I'm kidding.
I was trying to wrap up only because we don't have the clock in front of us. We don't know how long we've been going. I feel like we've been
that long, but it's fine.
Yeah. I'm going to guess our 45-minute mark is probably passed, which is okay. So anyway, this has been Bartending in the Sticks, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Man, it's so tired. Every podcast or every YouTube show I watch, they say it. I'm just like, yeah,
I know.
I know.
It's just a reminder because, you got to throw it in there.
Yeah. If you're new to YouTube, let's maybe say that. If you're new to YouTube, it helps us a lot if you like and subscribe because we're trying to build this thing. We're only on our 4th, and we got a lot of work to do.
Right, and if you like the videos, then it'll tell you when we have new content, which is nice. I actually love that on mine, and then I know when something that I really like is got a new episode, and so I'm like, oh, yay.
There you go.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All
Cheers,
right.
everyone.
Cheers. Until next time.
Cue the outro music.
Dun 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 dun.